That's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. When it's Android over iPhone and you can keep your stupid amiibo and always bashing on Nintendo. But that's Retro Fandango. That's Retro Fandango. Thanks, Retro Fandango. Wow!
Sorry to keep you waiting, Steven. Welcome to Retro Fandango, episode number 214. Is that what I put? Yeah, 214. All right. Richard is fiddling with his lights.
You told me I had time.
You did, but you ran out. I thought you were just going to flick a switch. You were just going to.
Said I had to go get it.
Oh. What's you got a toque today? You can't hear me. He's not wearing his.
But
he can hear me now. You're wearing a toque today.
It's very cold today.
Not a neck scarf.
A neck scarf? Is there
Isn't
some other kind of scarf? Well, no, I had this. This is my neck warmer.
Neck warmer.
That previously it was not so cold, so I just scooched it up to my head.
So why is your neck warmer not a scarf?
A scarf is a one long thing that you wrap around. A neck warmer is a circle.
I see.
Just put it around, so you don't have to worry about all that extra mess.
I see.
You ain't got time for that nonsense.
All right. Oh, I got Toku Joe here as well. Let's go, Dango.
Let's go, Dango.
All right. So, what do we want to talk about?
I'm still waiting to hook my light up.
Your lights. This isn't your light?
No, there's a little fill. You'll see, because right now I got this like skull thing going around my eyes here.
I see. A turtleneck without a turtle. Richard's kind of turtly. I wish I had my big long intro. The cover for all this.
See the difference that makes?
Oh, yes.
See that?
Oh, yes.
That's what pulls in the viewers.
Yeah, the people were dropping off the stream. I think Steven already left, but now you're pulling them in. They're coming back. I can see it. The numbers are flying right back up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got to go that extra mile.
Yeah. Good job.
I just tweeted a photo at you.
On the Twitter? You tweeted?
Yeah, on the Twitter.
Like
I saw your stack of movies, so I put together a thing of movies.
Oh, these are what? Oh, yeah. I forgot my... I did watch a Universal monster movie. Almost Marvel movie. Okay. Well, you want to talk about
now? See,
movies?
the only thing I can't do the spines like you can because a lot of my movies have Japanese on the spines.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's really inconvenient.
Mm.
Well, I just lost your tweet now, so I can't see your stack of movies.
They're all right here. They're sitting right beside me. I can just pull them right over.
Okay, perfect. I got a stack here too.
There you go. Well, let's see. What do I want to talk about first? I don't know. Well, in this mix pile of movies, if you watched our last episode, you may recall that I bought 20 movies for $10. Is that what it was? Yeah. 20.
I know they were 50 cents a piece. You're wearing different headphones today.
I've had these since I moved.
Did you?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at you that well.
Yeah. No, these are my new headphones.
Oh, okay.
The old ones were like that you have. They were crumbling. It was time. I had them for 20 years, something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was time to let them go. So yeah, that's mixed in with this pile. So if you see some like, why did he buy that? It was because it was 50 cents. And if I wanted to get other movies, I had to bump it up to that $10 mark.
Okay.
I don't know which one I want to start with. Oh yeah, okay, let's start. Okay, let's start with this one. So this movie I bought for 50 cents on DVD. The Big Hit. Remember I said it might be good?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's
All
more
right.
like The Big Shit.
Who's in there?
You got Mark Wahlberg.
Okay.
That's Lou Diamond Phillips.
Okay, all right. I can understand the quality of this film.
Well, to be fair, Lou Diamond Phillips really does try. He's trying to
Lou
be
Diamond Phillips is not a bad actor, but he's not in great movies.
like. Don't get me wrong. What he's doing in this movie doesn't work, but he's really trying to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And if the movie was better, it might have worked. But yeah, you got Christina Applegate in this. It might be might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It is just it's not it's bad because like the plot is just nothing. Like it just exists. But
what year was this made?
Late 90s.
It kind of looks like a let's copy Tarantino
Sort of, but it's more of a comedy. 98. And yeah, there's the Applegate on the back there. It was great audio.
Thank you.
But it's really the characters are obnoxious. That's what like elevates it to that extra level of awfulness. Like there is not one. They're all trying too hard to be funny, and it just does not work.
Okay. So I'm assuming there's some sort of gangsters or mob guys or.
So they're all hitmen.
Hitmen. Okay, there we go. All right.
And,
now, how many writers are on them?
Well, I mean, what is on the disc is not or on the cover is not the actual number of writers, right? These are just the ones who did like the final draft. So there might have been more writers that were paid to work on this film. I don't know what the case is, but it is just yeah. So they're all hitmen. They kidnap a girl who turns out to be the goddaughter of their Don, who's their boss, played by how come he's not on the cover here? He's nowhere here. Where is he? Played by Avery Brooks of Cisco fame.
Ooh.
And his name's there.
Every once in a while, I see him pop up in a movie.
He's in this movie for maybe about 5 to 10 minutes. And I mean, not like even his presence doesn't really do too much for it. So yeah, they're in trouble because they weren't supposed to kidnap this person. Plus, they didn't tell him, so they weren't like bumping up, and it's just awful. The worst part though is that they this girl that they kidnapped originally, she was supposed to be a high school girl, but they bumped her up to a college girl because she falls in love with Mark Wahlberg. And the amount of sucking face that Mark Wahlberg does with this girl, it's just disgusting. Like, you could kind of tell like they wanted to show that these two were really passionate for each other, and they just like gnash their faces together. And it happens twice, and they got the sounds and all that, and it's quite gross. So I got my box.
Sound becomes grating after a while.
Yeah. So I got my box here. That's to go to Goodwill. So this is going. It's like there's a place in Sudbury that raises money for kittens and puppies. They're like a dog animal shelter thing, and they run.
So you're gonna give them an old DVD?
I'm gonna give them the DVD to sell to some other sap, and they'll take that money
the kittens,
and they'll save a kitten or a puppy. Hey, we got Deke here. Scotch on the rock.
Hey, see, told you, numbers going up.
Yep. Okay.
You don't want to save the case. I find sometimes if I'm getting rid of like a cheap DVD and I know like, I'll just throw away the disc and then just keep the case to replace another case?
Yeah, well, I do replace the cases. Like if I have a cracked case and I'm giving away, like there's a cracked case in my collection, I'll swap out the case and give them a cracked case.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have one anymore. I think everything's kind of swapped out. So
look at your fancy DVD collection.
I don't know if I mentioned this, but I watched I moved forward in my Kevin Smith movies and I watched Jersey Girl. Did I talk about
you were saying that you were watching things that he made. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I moved on to Jersey Girl. This one came with Bounce. This is a double featurette. We found it at that thrift store, that animal thrift store. Unfortunately,
why is that Ben Affleck?
So he's in both movies.
I'm assuming because why is he so much taller than that woman, or is that a little kid?
That's a little girl. It's Jersey Girl, right? And she's the little girl.
Okay.
And so it came with the movie Bounce with Ben Affleck and Gwyneth Paltrow.
I don't know what either of those movies are.
So unfortunately, they're both in 4x3, so I have to get rid of this anyways. But I actually didn't mind Jersey Girl for the most part. It was okay. The only problem with it is that Ben Affleck's acting is so horrible in it. Like he just drags the material down so much.
Is he putting on a Joyzy accent?
Sort of, I guess.
Does the little girl have a lot of attitude?
Oh, yeah.
And she's actually the boss?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But there is some actual genuine moments in the film that are actually really well done where they're fighting and they're arguing and it feels like a real family argument, and Kevin Smith basically pours his heart out into this movie because he just this is a time when he had a little girl and he was kind of putting like how he felt about his daughter into this movie, and it does come across. So there are some good moments. George Carlin is in it and does a really good job as the dad. He's just doing his George Carlin thing, but it really works well with Kevin Smith's material. It's really Ben Affleck's acting. There are some cringe moments in it, but it's really too bad because, the movie before this was Jay and Silent Bob, the Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back movie, where he declared that I am not doing any more Jay and Silent Bob movies. I'm done with Jay and Silent Bob. He comes out with just Jersey Girl. It bombs, flops horribly. So his next movie was Clerks 2.
Yeah, I remember hearing about things like that.
But anyways, Sarah watched Bounce and she said it was pretty bad too. And Ben Affleck's acting was pretty horrible in it. But anyways, these are both 4x3. They're full screen, so they're gone. And by the way, I did pick up Clerks 2 on HD DVD.
Ooh.
2-disc version. Hopefully they work because not all of these are reliable and still working, but hopefully it
Can you show me the cover again?
There you go.
Is that Rosario Dawson?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. I remember really liking this one, so I did. I do want to watch it again. So that's still on my 2 watch list. So stay tuned for the next episode where I will have watched that. Okay. I did pick up this specific copy of Terminator 2.
Shiny.
Even though I already have 2 copies of Terminator 2, I have it on. I have it in 4K and in Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
But I needed.
Was that an old DVD?
I needed to grab this DVD version
because
to go along with this DVD, which they look identical, but there is something completely different about these.
Did you do that just so that you can go like this and ding recreate the trailer?
That's right. Yeah.
Now there are 2.
That's the easiest way to do it. No, the audio on this version of Terminator 2 is quite incredible, and I would use this the discs on here to like test out the audio on all of my
Your
every time I start
sound
the surround
system,
system.
right? Yeah, you
Yeah.
mentioned that before. Yeah. Mhm.
So, but when I went to open my copy, the disc was missing
Mm.
in it. I didn't have disc 1, but I had disc 2 for some reason. So what must have happened is that I had tested out a system, tested out all the audio, and then got rid of the DVD player or something and forgot that the disc was in there. So I lost it. So I found this copy out there for $3, and now it's complete. I took the.
So you're saying the audio on this version is better than the audio on the Blu-ray, 4K, all that?
No, I wouldn't go that far. It's just impressive to sit there and listen to how good a DVD audio can be. It's DTS, and it just sounds fantastic. So this one with the missing disc is going to go back, and now my copy is complete.
All right.
So keeping that. Now tell me if I'm crazy for doing this. I have this copy, this movie. It's called Grandma's Boy. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Have you seen Grandma's Boy?
I've never heard of that, but I like the cover. I like those detailed, drawn caricature covers.
Okay. Well, this movie, it's basically you might like this because it's basically the crew who make Adam Sandler movies.
Oh.
But Adam Sandler's not in
it. Well,
so you might like this. But this is the copy I had in my collection already. As you can see, it has the disc in there, and it
sure does.
The insert in there. It's a nice case. It's not cracked or anything, and it's got this. But what it was missing was, you ready for it? This slip cover.
Ooh, it's the unrated. Oh, okay.
They're both the exact same. They're both unrated. You know, they're both the unrated version. But yes. It was missing a slip cover.
Oh no, I totally get that. I totally get that.
So I saw that and I said, well, for $2.99, I got the slip cover.
Yeah.
So now I got that.
See, I really, one of these days, I really have to bring my stack of Resident Evil DVDs, and I can show you all the variations of slip covers and photos and things.
Well, the difference is that you're collecting them and keeping them. I'm going to get rid of this now. I'm going to send this back to save a puppy or a kitten, whichever they decide. There they go. So these are more the 50-cent movies I bought. This Cradle to the Grave. This is the full screen edition, so I'm already going to get rid of it. But
ooh, that's in that old cardboardy case.
Yeah. But it's I watched most of it on Tubi. I don't think I'm going to finish it. It's quite horrible.
I got to blame you for something.
Okay.
Regarding that when I get to my stack.
And so then I also watched Exit Wounds.
Okay.
So these two movies, Cradle to the Grave and Exit Wounds, it's almost the exact same crew. They only swapped out Steven Seagal in Exit Wounds for Jet Li in Cradle to the Grave. It's DMX as the buddy, I guess.
Is he the same character in both?
No. Same director, same like all the rest of the cast. Anthony Anderson, Kelly Hu, Tom Arnold is in both of these movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This one is a little bit different. Isaiah Washington's in this one, which you don't get in this one. But for the most part, it's pretty much the same crew. They are both terrible, terrible movies. Cannot recommend them. Maybe they'll save a puppy or a kitten.
Save a puppy.
Sarah watched this one at first sight. This is the one with Val Kilmer, who's
Val
blind,
Kilmer.
and Maria Sorvino. I
Mira.
watched. That's what I said. I watched like I don't know, 2 minutes of it. I was out. It just was kind of stupid. So Sarah agreed. She said, "Yeah, no, get rid of that one." Unfortunately, this one was pretty bad. A Night in Old Mexico with Robert Duvall.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those movies where the characters just do things for the sake of the plot. Like none of it makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So he's an old guy. He's at that stage of his life where he can't look after his ranch anymore. So they're coming to shut it down and take him off to the old age home. He doesn't have any. His son is estranged, so he doesn't have anyone like to look after things for him. So, and he can't look after himself. So they're all around his place. They're like assessing the property and all that because, of course, he owes money, and they're foreclosing the whole thing. And he's in his barn and he's ready to shoot himself. And who comes knocking at his door but his grandson?
Rambo.
And his grandson says, "Hey, old man, I want to learn stuff from you." And then the old man says, "Get out of here. I don't want you in my life. I hated your father, and I don't like you." And in the very next scene, they're both in a car together driving towards the old age home. And it's like, well, how did they get to that point? Like, why would this
That was the next scene they shot.
Why do they like each other now? They hated each other just a second ago. Now they're best friends.
Because that's the scene that has to happen when you have the two family members get together. I don't like you. I don't like you. And then they work out their differences. But I guess they just skipped ahead.
Well, anyways, I think we only watched about an hour of it off the coast. So one of the good movies I bought in that lot, this was actually really good. This is Jet Li's Fearless, the unrated edition.
You got a lot of unrated DVDs here.
Yes, there's like lots of unrated. I don't know why it's unrated. It's just a lot of fighting. Maybe there was more violence and gore in this one.
Well, sometimes the unrated is just there was some extra footage that wasn't included, and it technically wasn't rated by the MPAA.
Yeah, right.
So then, even if it's just a shot of him turning his head around,
that part wasn't rated. So therefore, the movie, although it does have a rating down here, a Canadian rating of 14 plus for violence, and it's not recommended for young children. But this is a really good. I enjoyed it. It's not like anything original or anything like that. It follows the same sort of hero story where he's in a big city. He gets a little too cocky. He gets knocked down a few pegs. He goes out to the country. He learns a few things. Comes back, kicks ass. But it was kind of like comfort food. But this disc is is good. It's widescreen, unrated, everything like that. But I have to get rid of it because it turns out I had the HD DVD version of the film already.
See, I've been buying a lot more movies lately, but I still remember everything that I have. I don't know how you get to this point of like.
Well,
I had that movie. I had that on this. I had that on this.
Well, I didn't buy this movie. It was given to me by Hodge at the Lastberry Game Exchange. Mm-hmm. And during all that stuff, there was so much going on that I didn't put it on the list or anything like that. I just forgot all about it. And so you
keep a list and everything.
Yeah, I have to. I can't remember stuff. So I didn't add it to the list. And when I was putting my HD DVD movies away, I put them all on a nice shelf. This was sitting there. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't that one of the movies I just bought? And of course, it was. And then I thought, well, maybe it didn't work. And I put it in the machine, and it worked just fine. So,
have you added a whole lot to your HD DVDs, or they're still pretty sparse? Like hard to find in the shops.
I found 2 the other day at that thrift store, at that animal thrift store. One was We Are Marshals, and I can't remember the other movie. It was something that Sarah wanted to see. So
those things are region coded, right?
I don't believe they are. No.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I do see some occasionally. There'll be like one mixed in here or there.
Yeah. They don't all work though. They're a lot of them are subject to disc rot because of they pressed them off really fast, right? They were trying to beat Blu-ray to the market. So, I only buy them when they're cheap, or unless I really want it. Like Clerks, I actually bought from eBay. It was still like only $8 shipped, but still, I
Yeah,
don't
but
know
if if the disc is gonna rot up on you, wouldn't it be better to buy it on Blu-ray anyway?
Some do, some don't, right? It just depends on like there was a bunch I think from Warner Brothers that just whatever was in the pressing plant or whatever, they pressed them too fast or made them too fast and didn't let them cure right or something, and they are subject to disc rot, but a lot of them are not. And it depends on when they were pressed and when they were made. So it's not like every copy, like all of these copies of this movie are subject to disc rot. It's only like when they were pressed or when they were made. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Sure,
for sure. Okay. Okay. So I watched. I've been wanting to watch this for a while. Sixth Sense. Finally rewatched.
Still never seen that.
I gotta say, I know exactly everything that happens in the movie because I still remember it after watching it after 20 years, and it holds up. I still really enjoyed this movie. Sarah said not as much. It didn't captivate her as much as the first time she watched it, but I thought it was really well done, really well paced, and I feel really bad for the kid in this movie as he's going through all the seeing the dead people and that, and Bruce Willis has to figure out a way to save him. It's funny because Donnie Wahlberg has a small role in this movie, and I didn't recognize him at all.
Donnie Wahlberg is the new Kids on the Block Wahlberg.
Right. He's not Marky Mark. He's not.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, around this time when this movie came out, The Sixth Sense, he was also in Band of Brothers, and he was terrific in Band of Brothers. But for this movie, he lost, he's only in it for maybe 2 minutes. It's at the beginning, and he lost 30 pounds to play this role. And it's unrecognizable. But I thought he was, for anyone who watches It's Sunny in Philadelphia, I thought he was they got a sketchy friend. I thought it was him. I thought it was that actor, but no, it was Donnie Wahlberg. Anyways, I really enjoyed it. So I got Unbreakable. So look forward to a future episode.
I've been wanting to rewatch that.
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So do you know about? Let me just talk about this movie. The second last movie I have here from the lot, the Black Mask.
Black Mask. Oh yeah.
Jet Li. If you recall, I believe Rocket Sauce said that this was bad. It's terrible, and I got to disagree with Rocket Sauce. I kind of enjoyed this. Now there are some problems with it. Number one is the soundtrack is quite awful. It's all this gangster rap stuff, which doesn't really fit into the whole. He's a comic book character kind of hero in Hong Kong in the 90s, but apparently when this movie was made in 1996, and then Jet Li was in Lethal Weapon 4. Yes. And apparently he was enjoyed and liked in Lethal Weapon 4, and they just said we could make him into an action star in North America. So they took this movie from 1996 and they repackaged it for North America, redubbed all the audio into English, and redid the soundtrack to add all this gangster rap stuff. So that part sucks. So I'd really like to see an original version of it. But in spite of that, I kind of enjoyed this. This was kind of like a 90s dark comic book style movie, kind of like Blade or The Crow or something like that.
Right.
It's ridiculous. It's absurd. But it was fun. I had some fun with it.
Was that his first big exposure, the Lethal Weapon 4?
I watched like the trailers on here, and it's all Lethal Weapons 4, Jet Li from Lethal Weapon 4. Like they were really pushing the fact that he was in Lethal Weapon 4.
Okay.
So I think that was his big American movie, anyways.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I'm sure he had a bunch of hits.
Yeah.
Before that, yeah.
But I don't. It was fun. It was good times. So I enjoyed that one. So I'm keeping it. So to continue on with the kung fu stuff, this was my sister-in-law's fiance. I don't know how he's related to me in any way. I don't know if you're. Anyways, he's a guy I know, and he lent me this movie, The Protector, with Tony Jaa, and I really enjoyed this one. It was good. I watched the theatrical version, not the international version. I think the international version's a little longer than the theatrical version. The theatrical version's only an hour and 23 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it flies right by. But I was expecting kung fu, but there was no, like, it was all practical kung fu. Like a lot of movies, this came out in 2005, and a lot of movies around that era, they used a lot of wire fu, like the stuff from
Crouching Tiger, yeah.
Yeah, like even in Fearless here, like there's still a lot of wire fu in this movie, but it's still enjoyable. But this was all like practical done. There was no wire at all, and he does some crazy Jackie Chan style of stunts. Like he's like climbing up walls and all that stuff. It was pretty wild. And then the choreography in that was really well done. It takes place in Hong Kong. He's is it Hong Kong? Jeez, I've seen so many of these movies. It might be Thailand. Actually, I think this one was Thailand. Anyways, his family protects these elephants. Elephants are like these creatures that were used in like battles and stuff back in fought in wars and stuff like that.
Like Lord of the Rings.
I guess so. But in reality, they use like these elephants, and these elephants are of like a lineage. It's kind of just like horses or whatever, right? And they protect like this line of elephants. So this one elephant, they decide to present to the king. They said, like, this is the elephant that we want to bring to the king. And they get tricked into actually selling it to some poachers instead of bringing it to the king. So these poachers bring it down to Australia, where they can get away with, like, it's like a underground Chinatown kind of situation where they sell like all exotic foods, and that an elephant is one of the things on their menu. So basically, took this elephant. So he's got to go down there. They take the parent elephant, then they steal his baby elephant. So he's in Thailand, and he's got to go to Sydney to save his baby elephant. And he does it all with kung fu. It's good times.
I want to say, like, there's like some trace memory of seeing a trailer for this. There's something very familiar about that, about like kung fu to save an elephant.
I mean, this one, like I said, came out around 2005, and they were pushing the Tarantino, because I guess he had something to do with the packaging of it, or
he probably liked the movie and said, "Hey, I'll help
bring
you get
this over
distribution."
Yeah. So Tony Jaa, like right up there. I was like, wow, this guy. So the next movie I watched was another Tony Jaa movie I bought for 50 cents.
Steven's doing Ryan's job, quoting The Simpsons. Where's my elephant?
So the next movie I watched was Triple Threat, starring Tony Jaa and a bunch of other dudes. Incredible audio on this, man. It was, wow. I couldn't believe the amount of this was like Terminator 2 on DVD quality audio. It was quite incredible. Unfortunately, the movie itself, not that great.
Okay.
there's not a lot of kung fu in it. It just kind of falls to, regular action schlock where everybody has guns, but nobody like just shoots each other. Like they're at the beginning of the movie, they're in the jungle, and him and his friend, they're part of this mercenary team, and they go in to liberate some people, but then it turns out that they're actually there just to free one guy who's a bad dude, and they want to kill everybody else. Like the other mercenaries want to kill everybody else there, to cover up the evidence that they went in and saved this guy. So Tony Jaa and his friend get thrown in with the prisoners and locked up, and the bad guys set a bomb, and instead of just shooting them, they leave. That bomb will take care of these guys, and then of course they escape, and it's like they could. Oh, so yeah, that's I don't know. Like I thought about keeping it just for the audio, but I got Terminator 2, so I'm gonna give it. Okay, and I just have 3 more movies. These are all movies I borrowed from my friend Frank. This one's called Shadow, and this one was pretty good. It was a slow start, but it gets better. The second half was definitely better than the first half. So basically, they need to go. They want to go in and take down it's 2 rival families, and they want to go in and take down this family. But this family has like this way of defending themselves with like this. I don't know. It's like a stick with a blade on it. I don't know what it's called, but they had a way of defending themselves that they couldn't figure out how to get past this thing. So they send in a mole to go in and try to learn the moves. And then the mole comes back and he's like, okay, this is what they do. And they're trying to figure out all these things. So eventually they find out that if they fought these guys with a feminine style of fighting, and they use these umbrellas with the blades on them, there are umbrellas with blades on them. If they fight back with these umbrellas with blades on them, they can counteract this attack, this style, and win. So now everything in the movie revolves around these, umbrellas with blades in them. They could shoot the blades at the bad guys. There was one point where they needed to get down a hill of and it was like a cobblestone road, and all the bad guys are sitting there with their bows and arrows out. So they take one umbrella and they put it on top, and they scrunch down it with another umbrella on underneath them, and they slide down the cobblestone hill while the bad guys are throwing arrows at them, and it's hitting their umbrellas and bouncing off all over the place. And yeah, it was pretty good. It was fun.
Like I was thinking, they can't hit these guys with the stick and the blade on the stick. Like, don't they have arrows of their own?
No, these guys didn't have arrows.
Guys,
it was like the other family was like more powerful, so they had to come up with clever ways to take. They couldn't use a convention.
Can they just throw a bunch of rocks at them?
They had to come up with like conventional ways to defeat them. So that was their conventional way.
Okay. Silly hair, silly props.
All right. So enough with the kung fu. We'll get to some horror stuff here. I wonder what Steven thinks of these horror movies. He's probably seen them because he's seen all sorts of quirky movies. So this one I watched was Open Grave. It was okay. I don't think I'd ever watch it again. This guy wakes up. He's in an open grave. Some lady throws down a rope to save him. He gets out of the grave. He sees a house. He goes to the house. He's at the house. They're like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I don't know." Nobody at the house.
How deep is this grave?
It was a pretty deep grave.
You need a rope.
It was a mass grave. Like there was a lot of dead bodies in it, right? And so yeah, he gets out of there. He goes in the house. Nobody knows who they are. Nobody can remember anything. So that was basically it was everything just from there was kind of obvious. Like everybody starts remembering things, and the guy that climbed out of the grave, they have like really bad feelings about him, and then they start remembering like him doing experiments on him, and it turns out he's a doctor, and they remember him like them being held down while he did stuff to them and that. And it's like, it's pretty obvious that what this doctor was doing was actually trying to save them because there was, a virus that's going around, right? And all these people are like uh, crazy. They're like infected, right? So they're acting like zombies, but like wild, crazy zombies. And he has like some sort of cure, but this cure, like he's trying to figure out the cure, but it's only temporary, and it only you can't remember everything after you inject yourself with this thing. So I don't know. It was kind of obvious what was going on, and it just wasn't moving fast enough for me. So
That sounds like one of those movies that was written because they had that opening scene.
yeah,
They had the name and just like, well, what if we started a movie with somebody in a grave?
yeah, pretty much.
And
then they
okay,
just
give me 89 more pages.
pretty much. So finally, this movie I watched. I bet you Steven's seen Hereditary. I bet you he's watched this.
I've heard of that movie, but I don't know what it is.
So it is made by the guys who made Midsommar. You might have heard of that movie as well, Midsommar.
It's another one I've heard of, but I haven't seen.
So it's same director. This was the movie that came out before Midsommar, and I hated it. It's one of those movies that it's just a series of yeah. What he said? Yep, Clicky Kid. Okay, yeah, I've seen this
Clicky
one.
Kid, Ugly Kid.
Yeah, well, they do not. They're not very flattering to the little girl in this movie. So it's one of those movies that is very light on story, and the story that is there is very sloppy, but it has a lot of disturbing imagery in it, and you're supposed to look at all the disturbing imagery and put your own conclusion, like your own spin on what's happening. And I really can't stand those kind of movies because it all just feels really artificial to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can use disturbing imagery for a story like The Exorcist, but what draws me into The Exorcist is the suspense of what's going to happen to this girl and what's the mother is going through and all that. That's really the part that clicks for me. So when I see the disturbing stuff, I'm like, oh man, that's really sucks that's happening to this girl, or I can't imagine what that mother is going through. Whereas this, like, you don't care about any of the people in the movie. I don't care. None of it makes any sense. Like, and if you've seen Rosemary's Baby, it kind of follows the same kind of path, and I don't know. It just was not for me. So I don't know if I'll ever watch Midsommar. But anyways, that's it. Those are all the movies I watched.
You watched a whole stack of movies that I've never seen, and in most cases I've never heard of. You really went obscure.
Well, there you go. You just heard of Terminator 2. I didn't watch that one, though.
But you didn't watch that one.
Oh, and the monster movie I watched was Dracula. I finally seen Dracula.
Hey, that's going to be the first one on my list because I watched a Dracula too.
Did you watch the first Dracula from 1931?
I did. It's what I got here. I got this for Christmas, actually.
Oh.
It's the Essential Universal Monster Collection. I've got Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, The Invisible Man, Bride of Frankenstein, Wolfman, Phantom of the Opera, Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Wow.
I watched them all.
Isn't it weird that The Creature from the Black Lagoon is lumped in with all those movies, even though it came out like 20 years after?
Yes, I was going to say Phantom of the Opera is the one that really sticks out because that movie is, these earlier ones made in the 30s are 4:3, which you hate, of course.
No. If the original aspect ratio is 4:3, I'm fine with it.
I know. So yeah, they're 4:3. They're made in the 30s. They have a certain quality to them. I think Phantom of the Opera, like Wolfman was into the 40s. Phantom of the Opera, maybe late 40s. Creature from the Black Lagoon was in the 50s. But Phantom of the Opera, there's not really a monster in that movie. It's just a guy who's disfigured. He's just kind of obsessed with a woman. And that movie's in color. And I think Phantom of the Opera was also widescreen. Creature from the Black Lagoon is widescreen. But all the others were 4:3. I'd say Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, top tier. Those are like the better ones. Then like the Invisible Man, the Wolf Man, the Mummy, kind of like the next level down. Phantom of the Opera, I didn't really get into. It's not a bad movie, but it wasn't really a horror movie. It was more like a obsessed guy, and a whole lot of music in that one. Like they spend so much time focusing on the opera, like just showing the actual opera going on. And Creature from the Black Lagoon, I was really looking forward to. Admittedly, pretty boring. That falls into that, cliche 50s monster movie of scientists, and then just here's a monster going by, and it just repeat. Monster shows up, lady goes
Yeah.
and then he stumbles away, and then they do that again and again and again. There's really no story. The costume, though, I'll say looks fantastic. That original creature suit, like, it's amazing. They even have underwater shots of him like swimming around, and it looks great.
Yeah, I have seen that one before on Turner Classic Movies, and I enjoyed it for what it is. But Stephen wants to know if I watched and enjoyed The Vavitch. I wasn't really a fan of The Vavitch myself.
You got to talk to Duke about that one. That's his
I know he's a huge fan of it. And I've heard him talk about it. I got to
admit, I'd like to see that one again.
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember the witches at the end, and I was like, "Yeah, this is stupid."
Well, after you went out and bought a whole bunch of cheap movies, I've bought not as cheap movies. You were going to say something?
I just want I want to talk about Dracula a little bit because
okay, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. I really did. Your version of the movie like not have a lot of soundtrack? Like there was a lot of.
They didn't have music. Yeah. Those early ones, Dracula, Frankenstein, they didn't know to put music in the movies at that point.
Well, they would. Like
it is a little odd. There's some at the beginning. There's that kind of like thing, but then through the actual film, there's a lot of silence, which is staticky silence.
Well, because like in the 1920s, like during the silent films, that's all they would have is music to drive the story, right?
Yeah, but for whatever reason, they didn't think to include music, whether it was an artistic choice or a budgetary choice. They're just like, we're not going to have music. It'll just be quiet.
Yeah, I wish more of the scenes had music.
It was a little jarring the first time I watched it, and I was like, how come I can't hear anything?
And then the rubber bats. There was a lot of rubber bat.
You got to put it into its time. The movie is over 90 years old.
Yeah,
now.
I know.
But so there's some hokey, corny stuff. But
why did Dracula
there's also a lot of great stuff.
Why did Dracula have armadillos?
There's armadillos in a couple of these movies. Somebody really liked armadillos. It's a little corny, it's a little hokey and everything, but there's some great moments. I'd say out of all of them, I like the Frankenstein movies better than Dracula.
I did like Frankenstein more, yeah. But I'm not in general. I'm not a fan of vampires, so.
And then these, I don't know what it was with the scripts, but like all the movies just kind of end suddenly. It's just like, I got Dracula.
Yeah.
A Universal picture.
Yeah. They must have just run out of money.
It happens with a couple of them. As soon as you get that death scene of the monster or something, like, whoop, cut. Yeah. That's it.
I did like how they had to bring all of his soil over to England because he has to rest around his own dirt. He can't just rest under England's soil. That would not.
he would die or something.
I think that goes back to the original novel. There are some things I admire in these films. The Invisible Man, which is a little bit of a silly movie. It's kind of half comedy. One thing that did I mention this before? I think I just had this conversation. But the Invisible Man. Oh, yes. Okay, never mind. I didn't tell it here. There's a whole. It's snowing and everything during the movie, and he's going around. He's doing his nefarious stuff. But at one point, he gets kind of like a confidant, somebody who he's telling his stuff to, an unwilling participant. And they're going over all the things that you would normally pick out in a movie where they deal with invisibility. And they're talking about how cold it is because he has to run around naked. And they're saying, oh, well, let's wait till it's really cold and we'll see his breath. Right. Or we'll see the snow, collecting on his shoulders. And he's saying, no, you have to follow me around to wipe my feet off so the dirt doesn't show. And like all these things that you'd normally pick out in modern day movies when they deal with invisibility. Right. It's like they thought of all of that stuff. They threw it all in there.
Probably because one part where on the novels too, right?
Yeah, and there's one part like everyone knows about this Invisible Man and they want to have a meeting in this room. So they start by dragging a big net across the whole room and sweeping it just so they can know that he's not in there. Little stuff like that made a big difference.
It's on my list. I do want to see it.
Well, yeah, I bought a bunch of cheapo ones. Some of these were just cheap, and some of these I went to one of my shops that I haven't been to in a while, and then right there on the front door, closing, moving location. And I was like, oh no, now I'm never going to get to go to this place again. But the good thing is all the DVDs, movies and stuff were 50% off. Nice. And if you bought 5, they would be 70% off.
Ooh.
So some of these I got pretty cheap.
You gotta get 5 now.
Well, yeah, I got 5, kind of a mix. I don't know if they're all in here. Oh, I forgot one. One. I watched it last night. I got Enemy Mine with Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. So where they're like a human and an alien, and they crash land on a planet, and then they learn together. It's kind of like when Geordi and the Romulan were stuck on the planet.
Oh yeah,
and they kind of help each other and become friends. And it's a so-so kind of movie.
Okay, I don't remember that movie at all.
It starts better than it finishes. It's a lot of just the two of them doing stuff, and then it kind of gets more actiony towards the end. I also got this one, Cutthroat Island with Gina Davis.
Yeah.
Matt Modine. You seen this movie?
No, but I know it's infamous for like tanking Gina Davis's career, basically.
That's what I heard afterwards. I never heard of this thing, but yeah, apparently she was married to the director,
Rennie Harlin.
Rennie Harlin.
Yeah.
And yeah, she is totally miscast in this movie.
Yeah.
It's not a great movie, but she sticks out. Like she can't deliver piratey lingo. I had no idea what this was about, so I just saw the cover and I kind of assumed, okay, he's a pirate, she's the damsel in distress, but no, she's the pirate captain, and she is not suited for it. And I like Gina Davis.
Yeah, well, up until that movie, she was on a run as one of the most bankable actresses. Like she had a string of like A League of Their Own, and
this was just after A League of Their Own. Yeah.
They were big hits, and then that movie came out, and she never could climb out of that because it bombed. Like it bombed pretty bad.
It bombed. It's not very good. Lots of cool stunts though. Lots of like the set pieces and everything all built. There's tons of explosions. There's one scene where it looks great. She's like in a window and this thing is exploding and she goes out the window and lands on the horse carriage and it keeps going and looks really good.
A lot of movies that bomb like that, the reason why they bomb so badly is because they spent a ton of money on it. It's not that a lot of people didn't see it or didn't like it or whatever. It's just the amount of money that they spent on it was so great that it would have to be a massive hit in order for it to make them to make that money back. And that's what didn't happen.
That
Steven
also
says his arms wide, going back to
Timba. His arms wide. I'm guessing this one also tanked. Kung Pao, Enter the Fist.
I don't know if it tanked. I think I have that movie.
I had never seen this. I always was curious because it just looks so silly and so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it was going to be borrowing all this old footage from other movies and
Oh, is that what it does?
it's just well, it's this guy. I got to look him up. Apparently he was like the writer and director
Okay.
and star, but I don't know how he got into a position to make this, but there's a couple of funny moments, things that made me really laugh.
Yeah.
And then it's a lot of him doing voiceover for other characters.
Oh.
And just, it gets old real fast. It's the kind of thing that would be really funny in like a sketch comedy skit. You could do like a half dozen of these and people would say, oh, that should be a movie. That's so funny. And then that's what happens.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. I also got a copy of Executive Decision starring Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal.
Oh, I think I've seen that like a long time
ago. It's kind of so-so.
Yeah.
Die Hard on an Airplane.
That's what Steven Seagal's move.
Bad. I got a Spike Lee joint, Do the Right Thing.
That's pretty good.
Never
movie.
Seen this? I've heard
I
it's
enjoyed
good.
it. Parts of it. Not the whole. Maybe there are parts that are kind of questionable, but most part good.
I also have Rocket Sauce. I also have a Terminator. Only I got the third one. This premium edition pack is one of the most commonly seen DVDs in all of the shops around here. Sold a ton of copies. I've never picked it up because I was never willing to pay $5 for it. But when it goes down to $3, then I'll get it.
He thought the show started at 4 p.m. Central.
Oh, you missed out. Steven was filling in doing your Simpsons quotes. Yeah. You better catch up. And I also found a very thin copy of A Bronx Tale.
Oh.
I remember seeing this a very long time ago.
Yeah.
And the only scene I remember is get in the bathroom when they're like playing dice or something.
I like that. There's a couple of moments in that movie that I really enjoy. I don't know if I'm a fan of the whole movie, but the one that I really enjoy is when like he tells them like, hey, get yourself a girl like who's going to open the door for you.
Yeah. You walk around the back of the car
and watch.
She opens the door for you.
And the other one that sticks out in my head all the time is he's chasing, the young guy's chasing after, hey, that guy owes me $20. And he starts chasing him. And Chaz Palminteri, whatever, holds him back and says, what are you doing chasing this guy all around for $20? You gave that guy $20. You got him out of your life. You basically paid him to get him out of your life. Don't worry. So he's going to avoid you now because he owes you this $20. You consider yourself better off. And that's always stuck in my mind too. Just goodbye.
Sometimes a certain line sticks out.
Yeah.
I got one. I'm going to save this one for the end because it's so good.
All right.
Some of these I did not pay a cheap price for, and they weren't expensive, but I paid like regular retail price. I finally picked up a copy of The Godfather.
Oh, nice.
The Godfather 2.
Yep.
And Exit Wounds.
Just as good as Godfather 3.
See, this one I blame you for. This was in there, and I was in there, and I was debating. I was like, should I get one more? It's going to come out. It's like an extra $3. I'm like, I don't know. Like, do I want it? And I walked up and down the aisle so many times, like, all right, fine, give me that Exit Wounds.
The good thing about Exit Wounds is that it captures a wonderful image of early 2000s Toronto. If you wanted to know what it was like walking around in Toronto in the early 2000s, that's what it was. I mean, they pretend it's Detroit, but it's really Toronto and a little bit of Hamilton. I got the hammer in there too.
All right. I can't defend this next one, but I did pick up a copy of Sister Act and Sister Act 2.
Sarah loves those movies.
You know what? I saw the original one in the theater. And I went to Catholic school, and I was like, all right, you got me sold. It's more interesting than Class. The reason I bought this, though, is because I somehow came across a North American copy that was just sitting in my local shop, and it was super cheap. And for 2 movies,
Yeah,
why
you got
not?
Sauce's approval. They're good flicks. Yeah, I enjoyed them.
I've never seen the second one.
Well, sir, we got them both on DVD. We don't have the fancy Blu-ray, so we're a little bit jealous.
Mine is the 20th anniversary edition, and I bet you there's probably some kind of sing-along or music video
I
or
bet.
something in here.
Oh, that reminds me, on Black Mass. By the way, Sauce, Black Mass was a good movie. I enjoyed it. On Black Mass, there's a on the DVD. There's a game. It's kind of like a
Oh, is it one of those like you click around and find something kind of game?
It asks you a question, and then it's like a multiple choice, and then you pick which one you think is the right answer. And if it's the right answer, it'll take you to the next question. It'll play a little clip from the movie that where like he'll get out of like a bad situation or whatever, and you'll go to like you'll be able to continue on. But if you pick the wrong answer, it'll take you to a clip of the movie where he's getting like punched in the face or something like that. And they didn't like make clips, I think, for the game. They just actually take you to the clip from the movie. And my like Blu-ray player was just like going wild trying to find like these clips, and because then it like up converts and that, so it's like flickering and all this stuff every time it's trying to play it. It was.
I remember I have a DVD copy of Dark City, and that one had like an interactive game in the menus. Like you had to find Shell Beach, and you had to like click on hidden things in the menus and stuff. I actually came across that on that Kung Pao, where sometimes in DVDs they'll have a hidden option.
Yes.
You click up, and then there's like a little image that highlights or something.
Monty Python discs were notorious for having like a bunch of little Easter eggs. What they
yeah. They don't really do that with Blu-ray, do they?
No. There you go. Saw says, I haven't seen Black Mass 2, City of Mess. I have not. I hear it's pretty bad, but Jet Li's not in that one. So there you go.
I also, and this I bought only because it was 70% off, because they had it listed for a very high price. So it brought it down to a reasonable price. The recent Hellboy movie with David Harbour,
right?
His name is. I really like the Del Toro ones, and this one did not look great to me, but I'll give it a shot.
I haven't seen it.
It's got a black case, so
that's always cool. That's cool.
All right, now I got 2 more here. One of these was a cheapo, and one of these I paid a regular price for.
Okay.
I don't know which one I'm more excited about, so I'll do them alphabetically. This one I got for a cheap price. Beavis and Butthead Do America. I've never had this. I've been looking for it forever, because every time I find it online, it's like crazy expensive with imports and everything and all that. And then I was looking around at the DVDs, and my wife was there, and she called me over and said, "Hey, did you see this? They had it in the children's section."
Oh, well, it's a cartoon.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I've been searching for this for so long. I don't know why it's so hard to get Beavis and Butthead stuff. Which, by the way, they came out with a new movie like a couple months ago on their Paramount Plus station thing. Yeah. And I've been trying to find a copy of it. And I don't know, did that not get a physical release?
I don't know. I forgot all about it, to be honest.
Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. I really want to see it. Yeah. And I just can't find it. I don't have that Paramount thing around here. So.
Yeah, me neither.
What's up, Kyle? All right, here's the creme de la creme. I was very excited when I found this. The Chuck Norris Action Pack. Whoa. It's got 4 Chuck Norris movies.
In Blu-ray.
Delta Force, Missing in Action, Code of Silence, and this title's awesome. Lone Wolf McQuade.
Ooh.
That sounds cool.
That does sound cool.
Yes, so I'm very excited to jump into these.
Oh, there you go. Didn't you just watch Delta Force, didn't you?
No, I watched Invasion USA.
Oh, that one. Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure they're all stellar because Chuck Norris only did stellar movies.
Yeah. Well, the I mean, these I kind of peeked real quick. They all have the average Rotten Tomatoes score of being pretty bad,
Yeah.
except Code of Silence was up in the 80s.
Oh.
And in that movie, he's wearing a jacket quite similar to the one that Eddie Murphy wears in Beverly Hills Cop. And it was made around the same time. So I'm guessing he's stealing a little bit of that thunder.
Steven says he has seen the Beavis and Butthead movie, and he said it was okay.
Okay.
Shout out to Smart Beavis.
Oh, don't spoil things for me. I do want to see it sometime. Yeah, I'm very eager. I heard they were bringing back that show in some form.
Beavis and Butthead?
But I guess there's not a whole lot of excitement about it.
Well, it's all like these streaming services and that, right? And they're all just trying to come up with exclusive content for these streaming services. And
yeah, what do we got? What do we own? What can we bring back?
Right, exactly. So, like, a lot of them are trying to follow the Netflix formula, where Netflix just okays everything, right? And it just cranks out content because they want to be one of the remaining 2 or 3 streaming services that will be left standing. And the way to do that is just to have a whole bunch of IPs that people care about. So.
Oh yeah, you know what showed up on Netflix recently? The Incredible Hulk from 1977. The lead up before the TV show.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good. I mean, very hokey and very silly.
Yeah,
but they knew how to write characters then, like Banner and his lady friend in that. Most of the movie is just them in a room talking, and like they're written as smart characters.
Yeah, I remember being frustrated with that as a kid. Like it would take forever for the Hulk.
You're just waiting for Lou Ferrigno to show up.
Yeah. Like enough of this talking. Let's get to the Hulk doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess they changed it because the makeup he had for this first one, he had like the really big, thick Frankenstein brow and like a nose piece, and his wig was all out of control. So.
Yeah, so they probably toned it down.
It's like the power of that Incredible Hulk theme, the little piano keys when he walks away.
Yeah,
because you could see, big goofy Lou Ferrigno with his terrible wig and the green paint and his baked bean teeth just like breathing in the camera. And, with that music playing behind it, you're like, oh, poor guy.
They definitely knew how to do theme songs back in the day. It was the hook to get you to watch the show, right? So they put a lot of money and effort into them. Unlike today, where most shows they don't even have theme songs. They just start up.
Yeah.
Kyle says Paramount is okay. It has Lucy, Twilight Zone, and Star Trek. About it.
Lucy, I Love Lucy?
I think that's what he means, yeah.
That's a nice lineup right there. I'd watch all 3 of those.
But would you pay $5 a month, another whatever, to watch that?
I'd pay, whatever I did for all these $3 DVDs to watch a limited selection of things that I enjoy or hope to enjoy and exit wounds.
Well, I guess that's it for movie talk. I think
that's it. We did an hour and 11 minutes.
Just on movies. Was there anything left in here? Any more gold? No, that's it. Mind all that. That's all done. So, I guess I watched what you recommended, the Red Letter Media video on.
The VHS thing.
VHS and Dookie. So basically, just to get people up to speed on what they did, they were questioning like this whole VHS market and why all of a sudden old VHS tapes that nobody cared about, now all of a sudden they're raising up in price. And they're questioning.
Well, they had them graded, professionally graded, and they cited the example of a Back to the Future tape that sold for, I don't know, thousands and thousands of dollars.
Well, did it really sell for thousands and thousands of dollars?
Or a sale was completed for thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right. Well, in a lot of these websites and whatnot, it's not just to VHS, but it's any of these memorabilia or nostalgia things or whatever. I haven't seen it lately, but for a while there were like a lot of articles like keep this, if you collected this back in the day, or go check see if you have this item or whatever, and they'll cite like something that will be somebody's trying to sell it for like I don't know $100,000 online, whatever it is, right? But that's just what somebody's asking for it. It didn't actually sell for that much. Just some jerk out there thinks that his Nintendo is worth $100,000, whatever. The catch with that, or the hook, I guess, or whatever it is with that Back to the Future tape too, is that it was actually owned by the guy who played Biff Tannen, right?
Yes.
Like it was actually his
Tom Wilson.
Right. It was his copy of Back to the Future, which I don't know if that raises its value or not. But anyway, so then, they went and had a bunch of their movies graded. They brought up the point that a lot of the movies that are valuable have a story attached to them, like the whole, this was Biff Tannen's VHS, or there was something.
When something has a story behind it. But a lot of the ones that were going up in price generally just seem to be very common, very popular tapes. Back to the Future, Batman, Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and it doesn't really make too much sense, but it's almost like as if they're starting like a false inflation of a market, of something that doesn't really exist. I don't know how many people are actually looking to collect these things or whatever.
I gotta look around the community.
Well, yeah, but I don't think people are looking to spend too much money on them, right? Like, I think part of the appeal to these things that they can get them for dirt cheap. They're getting them for under $1 or whatever. They get some sort of cheap thrill out of it.
I totally understand the personal connection. If you enjoy the movies and you like having the cases and looking at them, put them on your shelf.
Yeah.
When you're buying the sealed mint, overly charged, overly priced copy, that's when something's not adding up.
Yeah, like I definitely have used VHS tapes as decorations or whatever on my shelf. Like
I saw your Star Wars shelf.
Yeah, I had some Star Wars things. What am I going to do with these? I'll put them with the VHS movies. So I had Chewie with Star Wars and Yoda with Empire Strikes Back and Wicked, the Ewok with the Return of the Jedi. Nobody noticed that though. That was That was a purposeful thing. That was Chewie's first movie, Yoda's first movie, Wicked's first and only movie.
I do believe that Yoda's first movie was Episode 1.
Episode 1 came out in 1999.
No, it's the first one.
And Empire Strikes Back came out in 1980.
But it's the first one.
Kyle is blaming Midnight is Flashing for the rising price of VHS. Did I finish Strange New Worlds? No, I didn't. I finished the Orville, and I just got it out of my system, and I was good. I don't know. It's just I wasn't really motivated to go back and watch it to finish it off. Anyways, their whole experiment on Red Letter Media with the VHS tapes, they had this movie called Dookie that they've been going on about, and people send them copies of Dookies. They had 50 copies of this movie on VHS. It became a running gag on the show. They decided to send their best version, sealed copy of Dookie to go get it graded. And then in the process, they ended up destroying all the other copies they had of Dookie just to show that they don't really care about, preserving this movie.
You're waiting for me to correct you, aren't you?
What did I say wrong?
No, nothing.
Dookie? It's not Dookie? I thought it was Dookie. What did I say wrong? I don't know.
You said it so many times that it feels obvious.
Nuki. Oh, it was Nuki. There you go. It was Dookie or Nuki. I don't know. I can remember. I don't pay attention to details. Anyways, so this movie Dookie, So Nuki, so they destroyed the copies of it and all that, so then they wanted to take and sell the movie on eBay. It was for charity. They're going to donate the money to charity. But I didn't really understand what the purpose of it was, because they basically were creating a story, right? With this movie, like their antics on the internet were basically creating a story around it, which is going to inflate the price of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was the purpose of that? Just that, to raise money for charity?
Just to raise awareness of the point of that, of saying, look, this is a process that people are doing. They're, making this fake market, charging a bunch of money for VHS tapes.
Yeah.
We'll do the same thing, and we will tell you exactly what we're doing to prove our point that this is what's going on. And then also, I think part of it is the spectacle of occasionally they do try to create viral videos, and they don't really plan out. There have been a couple of times where, like, they destroyed a bunch of Star Wars figures and things like that.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I don't think they're thinking like, hey, this is going to hit a big number, and get us a little more attention. But also the spectacle of the entertainment of just, hey, watch us destroy videotapes and things like that.
Okay, so Steven says it was a low-key flex, money for charity, part trolling scalpers. Okay. Okay. Well, it was entertaining. Anyways, I was hoping that they would kind of go into more of a deep dive to show, like, what I thought they were going to do is take these now graded movies and try to sell them on eBay to show, like, that the market was really there's really is no market for these things. It was only on this website where it seemed to be people were buying each other's VHS tapes, kind of create this market. But I guess they kind of made that point already anyways when they showed, like, how there were no bids on a lot of these VHS tapes on eBay. But like, all this stuff, like, people just hear these things, they hear these stories or whatever, like, oh, this movie sold for this much, and then they believe that that's how much it is, and then people start spending money on it, and then that's how the price goes up on all these stupid things.
I don't know where they get their. Sometimes, like, people just charge weird things, and part of me wants to believe that it's just to generate interest in the store. Like, I see things at my local secondhand shops, and you'll be like, okay, $5, and then you'll see something that's priced crazy. There's a copy of Reservoir Dogs on Blu-ray in one of the shops. What do you think they're charging for it?
I don't know. It's like a $5 disc around here.
It's over $100.
Oh my goodness.
There's nothing special about it. It's not some limited edition run or whatever. It's not like in a fancy tin case. It's not autographed or anything. But it's just a ridiculous price on it. Once upon a time in America. No, I don't think so. It's a Tarantino movie. I mean, the guy
sold a bunch.
He sold a few. But some of the prices occasionally, I find it a lot with horror movies, like, kind of like slasher movies.
Yeah.
Everything else will be like this price, and then suddenly it's like, oh, this one's $40.
Yeah.
Why? It's a DVD from like 1980.
I think, well, the thing with horror films and horror film collecting and that, there were a lot of low budget movies that didn't get a huge print run or whatever. Eventually didn't make it to DVD because there isn't just that much interest in it. But there are, like, some hardcore collectors that know about these movies that want to have a copy of the movie for themselves. So they'll pay a little extra for these obscure movies, right? But then it becomes a thing where people who don't really know but own a store or whatever think all the horror movies are worth much more, when they're really not, That's what I think is going.
All I know is that it's just so arbitrary with the pricing in these shops, and sometimes I think they charge certain items to sell, and they price certain items to sit on the shelf so that they don't have empty shelves because you don't want empty space in the store.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, put it up here. That way, we always have something nice to look at when somebody comes in.
Yeah.
How much would you spend if you saw a nice, good condition, sealed copy of Ghostbusters on VHS? What would be your ceiling?
Well, I already have it, so I wouldn't spend anything.
What would be your ceiling? Like what would you pay? Like $5? Would you be willing to go $10 for it?
No, I don't want it. I already have a copy.
If you didn't have a copy,
if I didn't have a copy, okay. If I didn't have a copy, maybe I would spend $4 or $5 on it. Just
you'd be like, okay,
maybe. I don't know. I'm not really into like. I'll tell you. Like the other day, I saw Deliverance on VHS, and I was kind of like, oh, that's a Burt Reynolds movie, but it wasn't really like it didn't have like the classic cover with the hand coming out of the water and holding the shotgun. It had that, but it was kind of like squished down, and then there was like movie stills, and I just didn't like the look of the box or anything. So I was like, I don't want that.
I hate when they change the movie, like the cover. Yeah. Like there's kind of like the classic cover when it first came out, and that was the movie poster and everything. And then later on, you get a reissue, and it's like, oh, what is this cover?
Yeah,
where'd they get this picture from?
But I think their VHS. I think I was at a Valley Village. I think it was $1.99. So if it was like the classic cover, I might have bought it for $1.99. Might have, maybe. Okay. I don't know. I'm not really into collecting VHS. It'd have to be something.
Nor am I.
Like,
there's only one VHS that I would buy if I ever came across it. I do believe that the first Resident Evil movie came out on VHS, and I would need to have that as part of the collection.
I'm half looking for the Star Trek movies because those are the ones I would get at Christmas time. But not
the
like
one
that.
in the box where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
I don't want that. I want like what I had was like the ones before the box, right? That box set came out around, was it Star Trek 5?
I think so, because then they also snuck another one in there.
Star Trek 6.
And I don't remember if it was 6 or if it was Generations that they kind of forced into another box.
I think they did it with both.
They had it making the Enterprise,
and
then there's just like an extra one.
Yeah, little red dress.
Yeah, I just bought another blue DVD.
Well, we're gonna have to look at it. And the DVDs.
You want me to bring over some? I actually picked up 5 Resident Evil items.
How long will it take you to go get them?
I'll just tell you.
Okay.
I found a Blu-ray that had 1, 2, and 3 in it, and it's a nice little slipcover thing on it. And then I picked up some alternate covers for 1 and 3.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, I wouldn't spend too much money for them. Anyways, I don't really want VHS. Too much VHS. But the DVDs, I'll buy those because I'll actually watch them. And I was actually at a store. I was at a thrift store in North Bay the other day, and I bought or I was looking at their DVDs, and in that collection, in their DVDs, they had a copy of Super Cop 2. So there was Police Story, Police Story 2, Police Story 3, Super Cop. You can find those 3 fairly easily. But Super Cop 2, sort of, Jackie Chan was in it, but Michelle Yeoh kind of took over. It was a Michelle Yeoh movie, but I can't find that anywhere. I can't even find it to download it just to watch it. I found it. I think I streamed. There was a copy on YouTube, but it has no subtitles, so I can't tell what the heck's going on. Or there was a copy on YouTube, anyways. I found a DVD. I found the DVD at this thrift store. I open it up, and it's kind of roached. Like it's just doesn't look that great. They still wanted $15 for it.
$15.
So I left it there. I said, you know what? Not doing it. Not doing it. So there you go. There's your lesson.
You gotta draw your line somewhere. If I come across something that's a little pricey, but it's hard to find, and most importantly, it's something that I want, then maybe I'll consider going, a little above and beyond. But for the most part, if it's the kind of stuff that you see all the time,
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't bring it over, but I also picked up a copy of The Wolfman from 2010.
Oh yeah, you have that here in your photo.
Yeah. And I watched it the same day that I watched The Wolfman, 1945, 43, whatever that movie was. Original's better.
So the original, that's the one where he's spying on the girl through the telescope, and
yeah, it's not brilliant.
No, that's creepy.
That's creepy.
A little creepy.
He spies on her, and then he goes to her shop, and then he's like, I want to see some earrings. And she's like, oh, we have these. Like, nah, not those. The ones you were wearing in your room.
Yeah. It's like, what?
Go put them on.
What? And she finds it charming. Oh, you were spying on me. Oh, that's so good. No wonder why men grew up confused, not knowing what the heck like women want, because these movies were like, go spy on them. They'll be really impressed.
Well, classic Wolfman story back in the 40s. You figure, all right, not everybody knows the Wolfman. You do the Wolfman story. 2010 comes out, and the first hour of the movie is like, hey, something happened. This guy got killed, and we don't know what happened. It's like, the movie's called The Wolfman.
Just
I saw the trailer. Just get to it, or do it more interesting.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and make me hear about the legend and the lore and everybody figuring, oh, well, Wolfman, that's a crazy idea. Like, no, that's what you called your movie. Just get to it. Don't make me wait.
It's like that Batman and Robin movie. Or are they going to get together? Are they going to? Everybody knows they're Batman and Robin. Just get them together already.
Yeah. So if you don't, it's either got to be really interesting and very well executed, or go a different angle.
Yeah. Kyle says Star Trek 1 through 5 had the Enterprise on the side. 6 was just thrown in, but there was. Richard is right. There was another box set even after that just threw Generations in.
Yeah.
But I think it just said like Generations on the side. It didn't they didn't even bother to try to continue on that image.
No.
And Saw says that's just how you hit on women back in the day. Flirting has changed over the years. I don't know. I don't know.
How's that working for you, Ryan?
Well, I haven't been collecting, as we get to the end of the show here, maybe I'll tease our next episode, because I haven't been collecting Star Trek VHS, but I have gone back to collecting some other Star Trek thing that I kind of started, and then I stopped, and now I'm back on the horse again.
Okay, wait a minute. Is it something that you've mentioned before?
Oh, yeah. I started collecting them. The Star Trek thing, I started collecting them, and then I stopped, and I actually gave like everything I collect, I gave it away.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I'm back in it.
I'm going to is it an item that you keep in its box?
No. It's an item that you use. You use it.
I'm curious.
I mean, it's an item that most people would use.
Well, originally I was thinking, is it those like Funko Pop things?
No,
because I think you had some of those.
No, I actually don't have any Star Trek Funko Pops. Sarah has Picard and Locutus. I don't. Okay. I personally don't have any because I didn't like the look of them. They didn't look.
I don't like the look of any of those things. What is it? Is it because they're not trying to copy the actual likeness of the actors? Is that like, did they get this license cheap or something?
No, because like they're called, like they use their names, right? Like
right. So they use the name, but they don't, because they're not using the actor's likeness.
I don't know.
Does that make it cheaper?
Maybe. I don't. I imagine the actors would get a piece of that though. I imagine
because it's like dot mouth,
Yeah.
So you could say like, all right, you're you're using the IP for just the name, and maybe like some of the costuming and like imagery or something.
But some of them, like for instance, Sarah has Bob Ross, and that uses his name, right? So he's got to be getting, or his estate has to be getting something.
I guess. Well, I mean, they whore his stuff out now.
So Kyle guessed model ships. Steven guessed Playmates toy line. All right. Are you ready? Should I just reveal it?
Are they on key with the plastic there?
There's no plastic involved in these. Zero plastic.
Well, maybe. What do you use? Like, and you actively use it, or you just put it on the shelf?
Normal people would use it. I'm just putting them on the shelf, and then I'm using another version. I use another version of it.
Footsie pajamas.
So embarrassed. But I've gotten back into collecting Star Trek books.
The books.
The novels.
And where did you find these?
So there is a place in Sudbury called Bay's Used Books, and they have an incredible selection of Star Trek. Not like just they're all like in this shelving unit, and they're piled like 3 deep, and I'm just like digging through all of them. It's like, yeah, I had this one when I was a kid. Yeah, I've read this one. So I got a few. So we could talk about them.
You're gonna have to read the motion picture one and let us know if it follows the director's cut or the theatrical cut.
Should we get into it now? We're already an hour.
You got 10 minutes. I just saw the warning come up.
Oh, okay. Pizza cutter. Star Trek. I always wanted one of them Star Trek.
Mr. Spock pizza cutter.
No, they're not plates. No, the books. So no, this is actually great. I always had ignored the Star Trek movie tie-ins because I just kind of felt like they were a waste of time, right? Like that. The story was designed for a motion picture, for a movie, wasn't designed for a book. But this first one is actually written by Gene Roddenberry. Ooh. He actually did the adaptation, and there was stuff that was being left out of the movie, especially the parts where Kirk is getting older and aging, that William Shatner just was like, I don't want to do any of that because I want to be the young action star. I don't want people thinking of me as an aging man because I want to do things like TJ Hooker and stuff, So all of that is in here. And parts of it were kind of used by Nicholas Meyer in the second movie. But yeah, you get a lot more into the Kirk's character, and you realize that Gene Roddenberry like put a lot of himself into that character. And then it explains there's a lot more detail with what's her name, Ilya, whatever her name is.
Her name.
Her and Decker. And like, it's kind of like cheesy in the movie how they kind of just get together at the end, and it's like that seems like a real leap for Decker to like he commits his life to Starfleet, and then it's like, no, I'm going to be this thing. But there's more about their relationship in the book, so it kind of makes a little more sense why he does what he does. And and then it just explains like the nerdy things, like how in their uniforms they had that thing on their uniform, right? It was like
the little belt buckle
that thing has like all sorts of things in it that he explains, like their universal translator was in there. There was like a thing to like they would build up radiation on the ship just being out in space and all that so the thing would like wipe some radiation off them and stuff like that, like protect them and stuff. So it's kind of neat stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah. But I could talk more about Star Trek books on the next.
So you've got more than just those two.
Yeah, I got a few more. But see, I'm reading them. I'm reading them on my Kindle, right? So I actually, take the book. Like I took the book and I took a photo of it to put it on my Kindle. That's how nerdy I am. And then
or do you keep the book near you so you can smell it while you're reading the Kindle?
I should. Well, sometimes I do refer to the book to see actually how far I am into the book. But because sometimes it's a little difficult on the Kindle to tell where exactly you are in a book.
Oh yeah, you need to be able to visually see.
Yeah, like how much more of
space,
this do I
yeah.
actually have to read? Because so on the Kindle it estimates how long it's going to take you to finish the book based on your reading, and it's fairly accurate on the Kindle. But then you just want to see, well, how many more pages do I have? Kind of thing. So
that should be something that they add in those applications. That like how much more do I have, and it just shows you like a thickness of the spine.
that would be great.
Like a little gap.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay. Oh yeah, look for the ones written by Peter David. I know Peter David. He did a lot of Hulk stories too. But he was the one who convinced the movie studio to give Sulu a first name and to use the name from the novels in Star Trek 6. He was like, you guys got to use Hikaru because that's his name in all the novels.
When did he didn't get a name until the movie, huh?
Until Star Trek 6. And
wow.
Uhura, it's never gotten.
Uhura never got one. Yeah,
she's got one in the novels. I think it's.
They used it in the reboots. Nyota,
something like that. Yeah, it's Swahili, whatever her name is. But yeah. So Tokujo says, I think that novelization has a bit that basically had Kirk explaining Spock is not his lover. They're very friendly. Very friendly.
That's a whole subculture from some of those Trekkies.
Kyle says that the uniforms in Star Trek: The Motion Picture were awful gray PJs.
The leisure suit.
And Peter David, according to Rocket Sauce, is still doing Hulk stories. That's good. He was always one of my favorite writers of the Hulk series. So good times.
Imagine writing a Hulk story. Hulk smash.
No,
Hulk angry.
No, he would get into like all the Bruce Banner stuff and all that.
I'm sure there's a lot you can do with the
Hulk.
Yeah.
Good times. Okay. That's enough. I think we can end it here. Get ready for the next episode where we get right into the Star Trek novels.
You mean I got to buy more DVDs?
Yep. You got 2 weeks. Or watch the ones that you bought. You could do that too.
I'm pretty good at that. I buy a lot of stuff, but I do watch a healthy percentage of it.
Well, yeah, Sarah and I have been like, that's why I got like a box here full of DVDs, because we've been just like, okay, we can get rid of this, kind of thing. So, okay, that's it.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Yes.
We'll do it again in 2 weeks.
We'll be back. What is 2 weeks from now?
We can figure that out after I hit end broadcast.
Okay.
All right.
Later.
Okay. Bye. Like I'm sure.